Hello, I'm Spectre, back with you once again to go in depth about hunts and how they work. This time we will be taking a look at something a lot of people ask about, S ranks. As a note, the majority of information or commentary in this video is from research done at this point in time. 2 months, 2 years down the line, hunting practices may differ. On another note, I will try my best to use consistent terminology throughout the video, but you may hear certain terms being named something else. However, I don't imagine Square Enix will be changing how the hunts themselves will work anytime soon, so let's dive right in. So, what are S ranks? The best way to describe them to seasoned MMO players is they are essentially world bosses, but not to the same degree as say Kuril, Regina, or Ixion. They spawn in the overworld and are also the most powerful of the hunt types. Their appearances are almost always based off of old boss or enemy models, meaning they will retain their mechanics from said bosses. What makes S ranks so largely different from other hunts is that unlike B and A ranks, they require a trigger to spawn. They also only spawn every few days, making them rarer to catch. Compared to the other hunts, they have insanely large health pools and can easily one-shot you due to their strength. Even wearing endgame gear, they require several dozen people to take down in an efficient manner. Due to these large health pools and rare spawns, they also yield more rewards. Though Square Enix can change the amount of rewards received across an expansion, S ranks will always give more rewards than B or A ranks ever will. So, how can you tell you found an S rank? Starting in 5.0 of Shadowbringers, the devs added a message that will display on screen as well as in chat that says, "You sense the presence of a powerful mark." Before 5.0, you originally had no way of knowing an S rank was up, not legally anyway. You just had to run around the zone and see if your attempt was successful. Another way to tell is that S ranks render zone-wide and you can see them from anywhere. If you've seen world fates such as Ixion or Kuril Regina, you'll notice that you can see them no matter where you are on the map. This is due to them having priority rendering, as well as the fact that they are huge. While A ranks are big, S ranks are even larger, to make them easy to spot when you're trying to figure out where it is. S ranks seem neat so far, right? They yield more rewards, they're big, and they're pretty fun to fight. But truthfully speaking, there's no real reason to go after them a ton unless you're an achievement hunter. Give me just a moment to explain. The main rewards you get from killing a lot of S ranks are mounts and titles, which is the same for about the majority of achievements in the game. For killing 2,000 S ranks from any expansion, you will earn both the Centurio Tiger and the Thrill Seeker title. By killing 1,000 Shadowbringers S ranks, you earn the title, the Fabulously Feral, and the Triceratops as the mount. I'll admit, I thought both of the mounts were a bit ugly when I first got them, but after a while, they start to grow on you. They're definitely flex mounts to a degree, but there's no real mount that says you were the one to spawn those hunts necessarily. Anyone can get these titles and mounts by simply attending and smacking it once. You only need to tag a hunt once to get achievement credit. In-midi generation is only for rewards. So, unless you really like mount and title collecting, it's not really worth it. The most efficient way to complete the achievements is to be an active participant, to spawn the hunts yourself or sit in an aetheryte the entire time you're online. Hunt discards are bursting with popularity due to increased interest in the game, meaning in-game hunts are melting like butter before the world travel queue gets down to where you can even make it in time. Like any achievement worth having, it is a time sink. Chasing S ranks is something you either do really casually or really hardcore, without there being a true in-between. Anytime you raid, or mount farm, or do your roulettes, S ranks are spawning, and you will miss them unless you dedicate all of your time to it. But, if for some reason you're still not deterred, do you enjoy the serotonin that comes from throwing yourself at something for 24 hours and it finally spawning? Then do I have the hobby for you. Like A ranks, S ranks have a window in which they can spawn, but it is not guaranteed they will spawn. Unlike A ranks, S ranks require a trigger to spawn. To get us started, I will explain how we find where the S rank will spawn. One important thing about hunts in general is that none of the hunts can spawn where another hunt has claimed a spot. It is this way you map where the S rank will spawn. You don't have to map all S ranks. People usually only map the S ranks that require you to interact with their particular spawn point to save time instead of traversing the whole map. When mapping, it is preferable to have both A ranks alive. As I said, a hunt cannot move to a spot where another hunt has claimed, even if it's dead. Because of this, B ranks cannot move into a spot an A or S rank has claimed. By having both A ranks up, the B rank can only move into spots that the S rank won't spawn. Once you've figured out where the hunt will spawn, it's merely a waiting game, as S-ranks have 2 timers. Now, looking at just about any tracker website, you're wondering how a hunt can have 2 timers. But what I'm referring to is the spawn window and what we'll call the invisible timer. The open window timer means that it can spawn any time during its window. The invisible timer is the second timer that must be accounted for. Just because a hunt is open doesn't mean it is ready to spawn. The invisible timer is random every time, and you have to successfully complete the trigger every few hours to find when it is. When both the spawn window is open and the invisible timer has finished, the hunt will be ready to spawn. If your attempts fail, the invisible timer most likely has not finished and the hunt isn't ready to spawn. To hammer it home, take a look at this graphic I made. On the top, we have the open window. The hunt has come off cooldown and you have the entire open window to try and pop it. Below, we have the invisible timer that, let's say, lasts about 75% of the open window. During the open window, let's say I make 2 attempts. These attempts will fail because the invisible timer hasn't finished, meaning the hunt isn't ready. I try one more time later, and now that the invisible timer has finished, the S rank pops because it is ready. Upon its death, the S rank chooses a new spot to spawn at in a few days, and the process repeats. Due to the invisible timer being random every time, the S ranks will all begin to drift apart after maintenance, and it is the random aspect of S rank spawning that prevents them from being lined up for a train the way A ranks are. If you're wondering how timers work, after a server maintenance has completed, all hunts reset. This includes both A and S ranks. Whether the server goes down for a major patch or hotfixes, if you don't see any A ranks alive right as servers come back up, hunts have most likely reset. You have to throw out any old mapping and start over. Maintenance timers are shorter than the usual timers. To help explain, I will once again go over A ranks. A ranks have a cooldown of 4 hours. After 4 hours have passed, their window opens and they can spawn anywhere in a 2-hour window. That means once 6 hours in total from their last death have passed, they are forced to spawn, and after that are considered what most hunters call maxed, as in it has hit the maximum time required for it to spawn. Keeping this concept in mind, you'll find that maintenance timers are shorter than regular timers, but I will focus on the regular timers. Upon death, S ranks are on cooldown for 84 hours and can spawn anywhere in a 48-hour window. This means S ranks max after about 132 hours in total and will be forced to spawn. Keep in mind, however, that this only applies to expansion S ranks and not S ranks for ARR, who have shorter timers by comparison. Spawn triggers start off as clues given by the Hunter Scholar in each new expansion. They're usually standing around an aetheryte or major city for that expansion with information, and they aren't always named Hunter Scholar. Sometimes they're just NPCs with a random name and you have to talk to all of the NPCs in the area to see who has the information you need. The Hunter Scholar gives a clue for the hunter to figure out how to spawn the hunt that can either be totally obvious or incredibly cryptic and vague. Hunters will usually spend the first month or so of a new expansion trying to figure out the clues. Once solved, these triggers are usually listed with the corresponding hunt on the most tracker websites so you don't have to figure it out for yourself. To start, you need to know some hunts have guaranteed triggers. If the window is open and the invisible timer has passed, the hunt will spawn upon your first successful completion of the trigger. Some hunts have RNG triggers and you have to try multiple times. RNG triggers are annoying in that you have to keep trying on the basis that your attempt may or may not be successful, as well as not knowing if the invisible timer has or hasn't passed. The only way to determine if a hunt has an RNG or guaranteed trigger is to wait for it to max and have only one successful attempt at the trigger. If it spawns on the first try, it's a guaranteed spawn. If it doesn't, it's RNG. Some clues given by the game are a bit harder to figure out, but thankfully the devs often reuse a lot of the same methods across expansions. The most common ones are mob killing, using minions, performing the trigger on the selected spawn point, waiting on weather or passage of time, or by gathering. Those of you familiar with Eureka may think to try and prep a spawn. Unfortunately, S ranks do not work in the same way NMs do. While there are S ranks that require mob kills, due to the invisible timer you cannot prepare a spawn. If you kill anything before the invisible timer is up, it will not count toward the kill count. The only exception to this rule is Okina, who behaves more like an NM. Like NM's, Okina is time/weather based and can be allowed to max as its invisible timer will be complete once it has maxed. By killing the mobs before the moon phase, she can be prepped. Now that we know how S ranks work and how to spawn them, we have to learn one of the biggest things about spawning S ranks: keeping track of them. Unfortunately, the game developers haven't seen fit to give us an in-game method to keep track of S rank deaths, and no one wants to keep track of windows by hand. This often leads to the usage of tracker websites. This go-round, I've done my research across multiple data centers and have compiled a list of websites that each data center prefers to use. As a disclaimer, I have no particular feelings about what data center uses what tracker and why, as there is usually a reason on why they use a certain tracker. That said, on the majority of websites you will have to link your Final Fantasy XIV character ID to the tracker. This is due to previous ne'er-do-wells trolling timers in the past. By trolling timers, I mean intentionally and maliciously marking false deaths. If you are discovered to be trolling timers, this will exclude you from a majority of hunting circles immediately. Just like hunt trains, S ranks are shared amongst a community of people, and to intentionally ruin a public effort will give you a bad rep in no time at all. As a note, I will say in my personal opinion you should always pay it forward when possible. Never assume that someone else is going to mark the hunt dead. Always check the website like you're going to mark it dead, and if someone beats you to it, that's great. One more thing I'd like to add is as you get into spawning, you may hear about private trackers. This is something I asked hunters on various data centers about, where some of them gave me either entirely different or eerily similar experiences with them on Ether. While many of them shared similar views with me, I will still go out of my way to say it is my personal opinion that there's nothing wrong with keeping a private tracker, so long as it's not the only tracker. Some people may want to only keep a private tracker if there's a sniper or a constant early puller going around, but it has been the case just about everywhere that it hurts more than it helps. Having more than one tracker going can help if someone tries to troll timers and you need a backup of the correct time of deaths for your hunts. But you should always keep a public tracker updated so people know when their hunts are up and new spawners can get their start. Getting off my soapbox, we've reached the end, and surely there's one last question you have, and it's most likely, how do I get started? Well, that's easy enough. When it comes to spawning, you just do it. There are no spawn groups necessarily. As of right now, there are no spawn triggers that require more than one person to attempt successfully. You just take your knowledge of spawn requirements and go try as much as you feel like. The more you spawn, the more current spawners will take notice of you. If they like you, there's a chance they may ask you to join their group. You don't have to join their group if you prefer to fly solo. Whether you join or not is up to you. Joining a group will give you a bigger network of spawners to talk to. The main benefits of networking with other spawners is being able to coordinate spawn attempts so no one wastes their time, and having a pool of people to ask for help. Once again, whether you want to join or not is entirely up to you, and a decent group won't hold it against you if you don't want to join. Some of these groups will either be local groups that specifically take care of that server, and that local group may be part of a data center-wide group. You might also find cross-world groups of spawners as well. If you're in need of link shells to relay your hunts in, you can ask most hunt-trained scouters or conductors, and they might have a space for you to be in. If you see some familiar faces out spawning, you might be able to ask them for link shells to relay your hunts in as well. If all else fails, you can manually link your spawns in most hunting discords, and people can start taking notice of you that way. Spawners on most data centers encourage that you start spawning on your homeworld and not for the reasons you might think, such as gatekeeping or disliking wanderers. As a wanderer, you have no way to relink spawns in local link shells on a world that is not your own, and even if you ping in a Discord, not all spawners can have Discord up at the same time as the game. If you do spawn off-world, it is usually considered good etiquette worldwide to contact a spawner you know on that world in the game, and inform them that you spawned something there, so that they may come help you and relay it. My last cautionary bit is that a majority of data centers don't like third-party apps, otherwise known as bots. I say cautionary as I felt it fair to say that if you are found using them, most people will ask you to stop. This is due to snipers and early pullers using botting to be further enabled in causing mayhem within hunt communities, and as a result, most communities have written them off entirely. It is also against the game's terms of service, so any risk to your account is solely on you. With that, I have no more to teach you. I know this video was a bit lengthier than others, but I wanted to be sure that I didn't overlook anything and covered everything as clearly as possible. Due to this being a generic guide, if you have any questions about your respective hunt communities on your own data center, I would suggest asking conductors, scouters, or spawners you know on your world. Once again, I will put a list of Discords that you can join if you need a place to get in touch with the spawners of your community. This time, I made sure to do my research and get the appropriate Discords that will help you get started spawning. Once again, I must inform you that some Discords serve multiple data centers, while some Discords only serve one. After this, I think I really only have one last subject to cover as far as hunting goes, at least until Endwalker drops and I make the video of A rank mechanics so people don't get one shot on hunt traits. Thank you for your patience, as I have had to teach myself a lot of video editing tricks to make sure this looked nice, even if the content is very niche as far as the game is concerned. Either way, I hope you found it helpful and I appreciate you watching. This has been Spectre, and I will see you in the next video.